activity.
Can you recall the first moment you began to have doubt about Jeff and the validity of his beliefs?
When my conscience began to awake, I began to see Dennis Avery. I'd be at a department store, at a gas station, and someone would walk across and it would look like Dennis. I could smell the barn again. And I remember those sounds, and I remember those views. And that's when I went ahead and I went to the ATF and basically just turned myself in. And we made video statements that night. So I went and I told her that her mother needed her in the barn. I just said, well, now we're gonna play a game. And someone taped her eyes and her mouth. He said, bring in the next one. So I went and I told Cheryl that Dennis needed her outside. And I told her, be calm and just give it up.
Ron Luff's confession ultimately led to the conviction of Jeff Lundgren and to a startling realization for Luff himself.
I found freedom in prison because I found how constrained I'd been my whole life in this belief system.
Ron Luff helped religious cult leader Jeff Lundgren murder the Avery family in cold blood. In 1990, he was convicted of murder. Seeking to understand how someone could execute 5 people, including 3 children, Dr. Stone met face-to-face with Luff.
There are people in the world today that are very captive, but they're outside the fence. And we hear it talked in sermons all the time about being free. But the fact is when you're in a setting like that, you are more captive than anyone in one of these prison cells. I found freedom in prison because I found how constrained I'd been my whole life in this belief system and where it ultimately led, especially when it was the reins were taken over by a madman like him.
Luff's confession helped convict Lundgren of murder. On October the 24th, 2006, Lundgren was executed for murdering the Averys. Ron Luff, witness, accomplice, and former devoted follower, is serving 170 years for his role in the killings.
Ron Luff is not unlike other cult followers we have witnessed throughout history, such as members of the Manson family. In these cases, the followers often assign the leader a place of divinity, believing that this person knows better than they themselves do. This allows followers like Luff to put away their own morality and to take part without hesitation in a crime such as murder. Although his role in the murder would place him at level 9 on my scale, Luff would later regain his own sense of right and wrong, as evidenced by turning himself in and by confessing to the crimes. At the time of the murders, Luff, like many cult members, was looking for a sense of guidance that left him vulnerable. Today, I do not believe he would be capable of such a crime.
Dr. Stone's meetings help him comprehend the many reasons that people commit murder. Coy Wayne Westbrook killed out of rage and a desire for revenge. Ron Luff's blind obedience to a cult leader made him an accomplice to multiple murder. For Diana Dial, it was a distorted sense of reality that drove her to kill.
Williamson County 911, what is your emergency?
Hi, this is Diana Dial. We'd like you to come over to 8503 Columbia Falls.
Oh, what's going on?
Yeah, somebody's dead.
Okay, do you think this is of natural causes?
No.
Okay, don't touch anything?
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
In 1997, Diana Dial believed she was being pursued by a group of assassins led by a woman named Cheryl Thompson. But Cheryl Thompson existed only in Diana Dial's mind. Her paranoia grew worse, and she became convinced that her landlord, Jack Farris, had been hired by Cheryl Thompson to kill her. One morning, Dial shot Faris dead in her kitchen. A court found her competent to stand trial. She was convicted and sentenced to life in prison.
Mental illness is a common contributing factor in murder. People are often compelled to kill for reasons that seem logical and sane only to them. I am very anxious to meet Diana Dial and gain rare insight into the mind of a delusional killer.
Are you Dr. Stone? Jack had poisoned me. He had fed me a poison on Hitler's birthday. He had just told me that he had murdered my grandmother January 10th, 1997. Okay. And I started experiencing the same symptoms. He was offered $1 billion to spend his life poisoning people that Cheryl Thompson and her dad didn't like.
I'm immediately taken with the intensity of Diana Dial's delusions. The man she had killed had no criminal history whatsoever, yet she is convinced that he is an assassin. And she is further convinced that Cheryl Thompson, a woman of her own creation, is responsible for all of it. Her belief in how she sees the world is incredibly strong and typical of many delusional killers.
Okay. It doesn't matter how long he lives. He was after the $1 billion. Okay, so if he dies in 97 or in 2007, it doesn't matter. He was trying to get that money and give it to the people he wanted it to go to. The sooner he dies, the sooner that money gets transferred.
You really felt, obviously, that you were getting rid of somebody that needed to be gotten rid of for national welfare, no?
I wouldn't have done anything to him if he hadn't attacked me that morning. I was just standing there drinking a cup of tea, waiting. I was moving. I was leaving, physically moving to go back to Albuquerque where my ex-husband and kids were. Cheryl goes after people that I love and care about. So the more contact I have with the people I love and care about, the more she's going to attack them. I am being controlled and things are being said about me that are not true, and it's all connected with these press families on the East Coast that have return on investments that are lower than they should be. That's a relationship, okay? Evidently, maybe they feel threatened by me because if somebody does listen, they'll go out of business. Maybe their assets will be impounded. Maybe they'll be deported, maybe whatever. But it can't be a coincidence that everywhere I go is like that. That's what probability and statistics are about.
Cheryl's still around, is she?
As far as I know, I don't know. I'm locked up for 10 years, so I don't know where she is and what she's doing. But my only problems have come from this group of people. As far as other people, I have never had any problems with anybody.
Cheryl Thompson does not exist. She is a creation of Dial's delusional mind. Dial sees herself as part of a larger political conspiracy orchestrated by this imaginary nemesis.
Every problem I have keeps going back to her.
If Cheryl were somehow removed from your life, would your life have taken a different course?
It would have been a whole lot better. Cheryl...
100% better or just a whole lot?
I have never had anything bad happen to me that can't be directly related to Cheryl and her publishing friends.
Well, these people seem to be, in your mind, I guess, working on a kind of underground level.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying that you don't hear about them, so therefore they don't exist.
I'm not saying therefore they don't exist.
I have a degree in science. I have a bachelor's degree in science. If I can touch this table, if I can bang on it, if I can see it, then it's real.
But some of the things that you mentioned seem a little shadier. Your life seems to be just filled with coincidences.
It can't be a coincidence that everywhere I go is like that. The guy that I shot said he had been paid to come after me. It was a contract.
He told you that?
Yes, he told me that. He said he had blown up the federal building in Oklahoma City and tried to frame McVeigh and Nichols.
So you think they got it wrong in Oklahoma?
Well, I'm just telling you what this man told me. Okay.